Well, this is Pastor Mick McLaughlin with Grace Upon Grace, the Ministry of Grace 25. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to continue talking about the faith issues. And yesterday we ended up with we need to understand there's not a when unless we start taking action now. Actions that are consistent with what we're asking God to do. We're asking God to ignite our faith. And we start taking steps now that are consistent with what we're trusting God to do. And the second thing I want to share with you is this. We need to take action when we're not even sure how the end result might be. You know, I gave you an example yesterday about the guy taking steps to improve his health. Even though he wasn't sure that he was going to get better, he took a chance. He gave up eating bacon and some other things, sugar, whatever. But he decided to take a chance, even though there's no guarantees that it would change his life. Now, common sense tells us that if we give up certain things in our life that are harmful to us, then we're going to be a little better. But there's no guarantee in life. Very few things in life come with a guarantee. And one of the ways we express faith is to take action when we don't have certainty about how things are going to turn out. In Christianity today, there was a story about a time when a youth pastor loaded up a bus of teenagers for an 11-hour ride to a youth retreat in another part of the country. One girl in the group had said that she would not be going because she was prone to migraines, headaches, especially when riding a long distance in a vehicle. Of course, our friends begged her to come, and eventually she changed her mind and decided, well, I'll take a chance. I don't know how it's going to end up, but I'll take a chance. And about 3 hours into the bus ride, sure enough, the girl came down with a terrible migraine. She couldn't find any relief. She thought to herself, gosh, I'm going to be in agony for the next 3 days. The youth pastor responded by calling the group together and praying for her, for God to intervene on the girl's behalf. And miraculously, about 30 minutes later, the girl lifted her head. Eyes were clear, the migraine had stopped. And she said to herself, this is incredible. This never happens to me. I've never gotten relief until it ran its full course. Even more remarkable, the story says, is that after the following months and years went by, the girl never had a migraine again. God did a permanent healing in her life on that bus that day. See, the young girl took a risk. She went on a trip not knowing exactly what was going to happen, but she was going to trust God to get her through. And she went on the trip willing to deal with the miseries of the migraines if she had to. She decided that it was worth the trip. Now, I'm not going to tell you that every time you take a calculated risk, it's going to pay off in your favor. That's not how life works. Sometimes we don't get the results that we want. See, if faith was like a slot machine that was rigged to give us a payoff 100% of the time, then it wouldn't be faith. See, faith means taking action in spite of the risks involved. The young girl that there was healed from her migraines. But what if she hadn't been healed? What if she had to suffer discomfort for several days? It could have happened. But it's a chance that she decided ahead of time that she'd be willing to take. There'll be times in our life when we have to take action. When we step out in faith. And there'll be times when we don't get the results that we want. There'll be times when we step out in faith. It hurts a little bit. It's discomfort. There'll be times when God comes through right away. And there'll be times, for His reasons, there'll be seasons of delay. See, God heals instantly, God heals gradually, and I believe God heals eternally. But no matter, in the Christian life, we need to take steps, even when we don't know what's going to happen. Even when we don't know how long it's going to take. Even if we might have to suffer a little bit. We demonstrate our faith when we're willing to step out into uncertainties, endure whatever hardships that might come along. The next point I want to share with you is this. We take actions when we don't know what the outcome is going to be, but we also take actions when we don't feel like it. Now, I haven't played golf in almost about a year, but I used to try to play as often as possible when I could. When I started playing golf, I wasn't very good at all. But I wanted to play every chance I could get because I thought it would help me improve. I remember one time being with a group of guys and it was hot and muggy. And I thought to myself, the last thing I need to be doing is playing golf in the heat. It's too hot for anyone with any common sense to be out here playing golf. Why in the world am I doing it? As I said, I had this crazy idea that eventually I'd be good at it. It's still a crazy idea. I thought if I played every chance I get, I would get better at it. I used to think that was right and that was going to do me some good. I'm better than I was when I started, but that's another story. But it's like working out even when you don't feel like it. Some days you feel like playing golf and some days you don't. I could always have the attitude, well, I'm not going to waste my time because I'll never get any better at golf. But I kept trying every chance I could, hoping that one day I would get better. And it's like that with our faith. There'll be times when you and I step out on faith. And we'll think to ourselves, what's the use? This isn't fun. This isn't easy. This doesn't feel good. There'll be times when we'll say, I'm trusting God to save my marriage, but I don't feel like being nice to my wife today. Or I'm trusting God to create a bond between my children and I, but I don't feel like being patient with them. Still, I just want to yell at them. Or I'm trusting God to heal my finances, but I know I need to save, but I know I need to tithe. But just right now, I just want to splurge. See, there'll be times in our life when we don't feel like taking steps of faith, following through on the corresponding actions. But here's what I believe. I believe God is pleased with all the steps of faith we take. Those steps we take in face of uncertainty and fear. And those steps we take in the face of discouragement or frustration. Or those steps we take when it's just plain stubborn resistance. I believe God's pleased with those. But God is especially pleased when we choose to live by faith, not by feelings. He is pleased when we choose to do what's right rather than what is merely convenient. As I said, faith is not something you feel. It's something you decide. It's something that you do. If you want to see God work great things in your life, then I encourage you, along with myself, to adopt the attitude of expectation. of His goodness, His greatness, His grace, His mercy, His love. That God is willing to pour down His blessings upon our life, and for us to be blessed, to be a blessing to others. We need to decide now this is what we expect. This is what we will trust God to bring into our life. Have that expectation. And then we need to begin to do those things that are consistent what we're asking God for. Make a decision if God has already healed you, blessed you, changed your marriage, on and on. Act like the end result is already there. Continue to follow the path of those directions, even when they become iffy. Even when the road gets bumpy. And continue to press on. When we don't feel like pressing on. As Paul says, I press on to the mark of the call upon my life. He had many times to give up. Thrown in prison all the time, beaten, run out of town, left for dead. Opposed everywhere he went, accused. But he pressed on. And I'm sure sometimes he didn't feel like pressing on. Don't let discouragement or laziness stop you from missing out on what God has for you in your life, has called you to do. See, faith isn't something we feel. So don't worry about your feelings. Don't worry if you feel strong or weak, or sure or unsure. It doesn't matter about your feelings. Your faith isn't expressed in feelings. Your faith is expressed in action. Faith is something you decide to do, and something you do. So my prayer for us today is that we'll decide to put our faith into action. What has God spoken to you? What is something that you want to do that you need to step out in faith? God's calling you to step out in faith today. Will you be like Peter and step out on the boat? Will you call him? Will you go to him? No matter how you feel, will you do what he's called you to do? God bless you. Thank you for joining me this morning. I hope it's been a blessing to you. If it has, will you please pass it on to your Facebook friends? If you have prayer requests, please let me know. I'll be glad to petition the kingdom of heaven for you, the mercy seat of God for you. And I covet your prayers for myself, my ministry. God bless you. I pray that he bless you exceedingly abundantly more than you ever ask or think of. And my prayer for you is today that you have a grace-filled day. God bless you. Have a grace-filled day.